example out of her like this," she said in a low voice. "It's just shoplifting. She looks desperate." "You heard the man," he told her. "He's got CCTV proof that she's broken the law. We can't just ignore it. Besides, if we take her to the station and give her a scare, it might stop her doing it again. Might give her another way to support her habit." Yes, she was thin, and her face was so hollow you could see her cheekbones. But there was something about the young woman's appearance that told Caroline she wasn't on drugs. "I just think she's been taught enough of a lesson," she shrugged. But there was no talking her colleague round. The shopkeeper came out to join them. "Are you going to cuff her then?" he nodded. "Send out a message to other scumbags who think it's okay to rip me off on a daily basis?" "I don't think there's any need for that," Robbie told him. "Just one quick question," Caroline asked him. "What did she steal?" He walked over to the till. "This lot," he said, putting an array of items on the counter. "I reckon I caught her before she could get to the booze." Caroline looked at the items on the counter. A loaf of white bread, a carton of milk, some jam and crisps. But it was the final items that concerned her the most. 2 bottles of Calpol and a packet of pull-ups in a toddler size. Her heart sank. "Let me have another word with her," she said. She went back into the stockroom, where the young woman was sitting on a stool, crying. Caroline perched down next to her. "What's your name, darling?" she asked her. "Zoe," she whimpered. "I saw the pull-ups that you stole, Zoe," she told her. "Do you have a child at home? Is that why you don't want to go down to the station with us?" The woman didn't say a word. She just buried her head in her hands and sobbed. "Please don't make me go to the station," she said. "I'm begging you. I need to go home." "Is your child home alone?" Caroline asked. The woman sobbed even louder. "Just let me go home. I promise I'll come to the station tomorrow." She looked up at her with desperate eyes. Robbie came back in. "Right then," he said, "let's go." "Please don't do this," sobbed the woman. Caroline pulled her colleague to one side. "Before we go anywhere, I think we need to call social services," she said. "It's an emergency." Chapter 1. A Waiting Game. Looking across the table at Graham, I chinked my glass with his. "Cheers," I said, before I took a sip of my white wine. "It's great to see you again." "It's been a while, hasn't it?" he smiled, his blue eyes twinkling. Graham and I had known each other for years, and we'd dated in the past. But we had gradually come to the realization that we were both so busy that neither of us could commit to anything serious. We still cared about each other though, and we liked to meet up from time to time for a walk, or, like tonight, a meal out. But lately, that's as far as it went. My fostering meant that I rarely had the time or indeed the energy for a night out. Graham had his own commitments too. He was a physiotherapist, and during the week he mostly worked away at his friend's practice on the other side of the country. He also had family abroad, so he liked to use his holidays to go and visit them. It had been months since we'd managed to meet up, but it was lovely to finally spend some time together again. "So," he asked, taking a sip of his red wine, "are things as busy as usual?" "Yep," I smiled. It always was when it came to fostering. Sadly, the number of children being taken into care was only increasing, while the number of foster carers was declining, so there were never enough homes for them to go to. "Who have you got with you at the moment?" he asked, although I know you're probably not allowed to say much. Graham had known me long enough to understand that for confidentiality and child protection reasons, I would never disclose any personal information about a child, or why they'd been taken into care. "Well, you've actually caught me at a quietish time," I explained. "I've just had a sibling group of 4 kids leave." "4?" he gasped. "No wonder I've not heard much from you in a while." "Yep, 3 girls and a boy," I replied. "It has been pretty..."